Hello everybody, Bethany Flat-Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new J. Cole album, KOD. This is the fifth full-length album from the North Carolina rapper, and what can really be said at this point that I or somebody else hasn't said already about J. Cole? Supposedly woke rapper who does mainstream numbers and yet somehow falls short of his full potential with nearly every release. Given his track record, I'm not really sure if I expected that much different this time around, though I know at the end of the day, J. Cole is smart enough to do better. He's talented enough to do better. So my fingers are always crossed, even if his hardcore fans seem like they're into where he's at right now. They don't want him to change and maybe are creating less motivation for him to do so. So this thing is a pretty tight, it's a pretty trim album. It's 12 tracks that breeze by relatively quickly, and it's like 44 minutes or so. Kicks off with an intro with a lot of spacey instrumentation, a female narrator going on about how the audience needs to choose wisely on the journey of life. Honestly, it's not really that exciting or inspiring of an intro, and knowing J. Cole, I know that a lot of what this lady is saying is just going to boil down to just don't do the wrong thing, just make sure you do the right thing. So we transition into the track KOD, the title track of the album, which is actually a decent tone setter for the record, in that it's a kind of sparse, somewhat eerie trap instrumental, a little unsettling but only vaguely, hooks that barely sound like hooks and don't transition sonically or emotionally all that much from the verses, a kind of underwhelming vocal delivery, and a general lack of focus across the songs themselves. Which, given the album cover here, and given the title of the album, which is like Kids on Drugs or King Overdose, you would think that this track specifically would be some kind of grand statement on substance abuse and addiction. But some of the first bars he hits audiences with on this track is just him complaining about people wanting him to have more features on his records, which just kind of comes off as bitter at the end of the day. I mean, I dig the overall vibe and the style of the track, but once again, Cole fails to pass the expectations test. And I don't mean merely my expectations or the expectations that his audience puts on him by hyping him up. I mean the actual expectations he puts on his own tracks, with the song titles, with the album cover, with the messaging and the hooks. Because across J. Cole's discography, I feel like there's always been J. Cole, and then there is the reputation of J. Cole as this mega woke lyrical miracle with this laser-focused intensity on whatever song topic or profound truth that he's dropping in a song, when in actuality he's never truly been that, at least not for longer than a song or two. I mean, there are certainly examples of that on this record, but Photograph is not one of them. The song is basically an anthem for every Instagram creeper out there who falls in love at first sight with a picture of a woman, totally overthinking the situation as if it's a situation at all. What should I say? I hope I can be this person's boyfriend. It's a kind of creepy track when you get to the core of it. It's sort of obsessive, like that weird little "I'll keep this one to myself" line in the hook is I don't know, it kind of makes the hairs on my neck stand up. Not to mention the subpar singing that Cole lays onto this track too. But the singing on this track is nowhere near that of Kill Edward, the album's only featured artist, and he's on the album twice. I pretty much like the messaging and the sentiment of the song, Cole cutting people out of his life who have a toxic impact or are using him, not just in the present, but also reflecting on instances of this in the past. But truthfully, it's one of the most hideous sounding songs on the entire record. Give me a drink, give me smoke, give me a drink, give me smoke, give me a drink. Also, this bar on here about not fantasizing about murder because he's sane, but he can't get away from this desire to hurt this person who he has in mind, which, like, what do you even call that? The song ATM is quite possibly the first truly enjoyable moment on the album. First track that really delivers any kind of thrill. Even with the beat not being the hardest, even with the hook being as redundant as it is, it's really Cole's delivery and fast flow and passionate performance that ends up making this song. I mean, it's It's not the smartest message or the most grandiose truth bomb or anything, but the track essentially gets to this idea of greed and materialism and not being able to take all these things that you gather onto the other side. Cole also paints a character portrait of this person who profits off the misfortune of others, which is easily the more interesting segment of the song. A lot like with Cole's last record, I feel like I'm kind of getting hints, I'm getting like references to an idea of a concept or something. Like I'm kind of getting flashes of this individual who is being represented on the front cover over here. But Cole doesn't follow through enough to kind of fill this record with, I don't know, enough internal monologues or points of view from this person to really stitch a cohesive project together where, I don't know, we kind of get to know this individual or whoever the heck he's supposed to be. Again, on an album, Cole has a potentially great point he could be making, but it's convoluted by him trailing off into other directions, just a general lack of focus. The song Motivate, it's pleasant while it's on, but it's easily one of the sleepiest motivational songs ever. It's confusingly short as well. It's not one of the worst tracks on this thing, but it's essentially a very taxing creepin' anthem, with Cole rapping about temptation and being unfaithful and being a Mac when he's out on the road. His real opinions and motions on the matter seem kind of vague, and at the end of the day, he just kind of seems moody because he can't have his cake and eat it too. And speaking of taxing, the song Brackets is literally about taxes. Another painfully boring track on this album, not just aesthetically, but also structurally. The beat is pretty drab, and the song features these multiple vocal snippet passages that take way too long to make J. Cole's point. However, the second verse on this record is quite possibly one of the most salient on the entire album. I mean, while it might seem far-fetched that J. Cole is rapping about an app on your phone where you pick where your tax dollars go, his bars about neighborhoods being taxed and simultaneously not seeing the benefit of that taxation are pretty strong. Talking about schools not making the grade, talking about roads not being fixed. The song Once an Addict Interlude is another high point on the album. The song features all of these bars about J. Cole's mom when he was younger in the throes of alcoholism. He's about to go to college, he's not really knowing what to do about it, he wants to run away from it. It's easily one of the most powerful tracks he's ever recorded, period, really projecting that pain through his pen. My only letdown with the song is that it's categorized as a mere interlude when it's just as long and much more entertaining than a lot of the other songs on the record. The song Friends right after is a moment on the record where Cole goes deeper into the topic of drug abuse. And honestly, Cole is not nearly as annoying or preachy on this topic as I thought that he might have been going into it. He's certainly not on the level of a Russ. But what ends up kneecapping this song is not only another set of awful vocals from Kill Edward, but also that there's a great build-up but not much in the way of payoff. Because while in one breath Cole is going in on this track against politicians, poverty, traumatized kids, people with short-sighted goals like, oh, I'm going to be on the Pistons, I'm going to be a basketball player. Cole says on this track that he would need 20 CDs to essentially get to the core of everything rotting America from the inside out. So he takes all this stuff, he rounds all of it up, only to put a cherry on top and tell the audience, meditate. Don't medicate. And I don't know, maybe that message turns heads at a local DARE program or a food co-op, but a lot of this stuff is systematic and meant to ruin people's lives and create a class of citizen that is caught in this cycle of drugs, crime, poverty, drugs, crime, poverty, drugs, crime, poverty, with our current drug war and how we treat addiction in this country. The song Windowpane, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this track. I mean, the only thing truly awful about it is the title. Beyond that, the sentiment of the song is essentially Cole saying, I'm telling you guys all this good stuff. I'm telling you what to do and what not to do, and none of you are doing what I say. None of you are listening to me. Which is a little desperate, and it's most likely connected to Cole's ego in some way. But I do feel his frustration and his anger at just a lack of positive change. I agree with nearly everything he's saying and citing on this track, but the thing is, at the end of the day, The human race is flawed and people are going to make bad decisions, bad personal decisions. You can't just merely rap it or nag it out of your audience. It's not going to happen. All one could really hope for is that we create a better society where these bad decisions are less likely to happen and that we have better social safety nets for when these decisions occur. Again, it's not that I hate Cole for trying. It's one of the few things that's truly admirable about him. The issue is, at the end of the day, that a lot of these problems are bigger than him or really any of us individually and far beyond his reach, even as a platinum-selling rapper. I also love Cole's hypnotic flow on this track. The refrain on this cut is pretty cold-blooded as well. Cole talking about wanting to see his relatives on the other side, hurt the man who hurt his mom. And then we end things off with the track 1985, named after the year that J. Cole was born. And a lot of people have been freaking out about this cut over the weekend, saying, oh, it's a Lil Pump diss. He's dissing Lil Pump. Lil Pump responded. Oh my God. And this thing is not even a diss track. It's an advice track. Sure, maybe the tone of the song is a little patronizing, but J. Cole is smarter than a lot of the people who he's talking about, and he's right. This song features not only some of the smartest observations on the entire record, but some of the smartest commentary on rap right now. We have how some of these new kids could be making more money in the industry, spending their money so that they have more longevity, not only in their music careers, but also in life. Telling these kids not to fall prey to the trends that they rode in on, pulling them back into the ocean after the tide, rolls back. And also how clueless white kids consume their music and view it as a window into authentic black culture. And as bland as J. Cole can be sometimes, what he says on this track about how long he's going to last in the industry is most likely true, as long as he continues to provide this specific thing that appeals to this niche audience that loves him so much. At the end of the day, KOD is a lot like many other Cole records. There's a lot of heart, and there are some very good ideas here. But there's little to no ambition on this thing. And Cole clearly thinks that just because he's past the very low bar of, well, I'm not making mindless crap, he can merely come through the record that overall sounds very low energy, very low structure, very low everything, and it's all gravy. And I just don't get this insistence on a lack of features. Not that I think a flood of pop rappers would make this record any better, but maybe some more outside input on his music would allow Cole to collaborate with people who could, I don't know, fill in some of his musical blind spots, of which there are quite a few. Not really sure what else to say. I feel kind of indifferent yet again on another J. Cole album. Kind of torn because there are highs and there are lows here, and really that's what J. Cole just kind of tends to do, I guess. I'm feeling a strong 5 to a light 6 on this transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe, and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, forever.